Hello all and welcome back to Double AP, Aspiring Artistic Pigeon. Alright, so basically what I'm actually doing today is I was busy drawing this and I was thinking to myself, now what is it that I want to achieve? And one of the things is a lot of artists don't really talk about that in the long run for themselves because a lot of the YouTube artists have achieved or are achieving the things that they want to do. So I'm currently trying to get to the position where I need to go, and okay, just quick note here on the side. Yeah, this is my Thor drawing, my Odin drawing. Got that online. This is actually the Thor drawing, so this was quite nice for me to do. As you can see, I'm just busy with the line work now, and I've got the world snake there in the background. It's actually the story behind Thor. You could check that out. But not the comic book Thor, the actual Nordic legend or mythology. Anyway, so yeah, I was talking about how on what are my goals and what is it. This isn't just for my Indiegogo campaign because I'm going to put it up there on the playlist, but this is more to engage you guys and basically. What I want to achieve as an artist is, later on in life. Right now, it's just the simple things, just getting a business up and running, getting my work going out there. And I think the main thing that I would love to achieve right now is just getting customers to really see the capabilities and to really enjoy what I can do. But that is my immediate goals, and I think it's very important to keep in mind to have these long-term goals in as well. And what my long-term goal is, I would love to have an artistic company. Basically, my whole idea is just to have a bunch of artists, whatever you need, and you go to the site or you go into the store, whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be a store, but it would be nice to have a physical location as well, where people can just walk in and see like a whole. This is actually one of my cousin's dreams, is to see these people walking into the store, and as soon as you walk into the store, you see several different artists busy with their work, and they can be concept artists, they can be tattoo artists, and it kind of is a place where you can go and just get the artist that you need. Where that's kind of the idea of a lot of these illustration sites where you get, but I think it's more engaging because you'll be able to sit down with the artist for a little bit, obviously not all the time because the artist has to work, but they can explain their process to you, and once they're done explaining, you can decide whether you want to hire them or not. And I think that's a fantastic idea for real life, where you have these normal times where you're on the net, and it can get a little bit impersonal because all we're doing is typing up, and it's difficult to get people to notice you if all you're relying on is your actual text, and you don't have much knowledge of the social networking aspects of everything. And I think that's important for every artist to really keep in mind. Where are they going and what do they want to do with the rest of their lives? And it's kind of like what one of the artists said on one of the YouTube channels I checked out. I'll have to just check it up and leave descriptions for you guys or links to them. But he said that, and it made sense. He read a magazine that it was a sporting magazine or something like that, and he read that, as long as you're good at something, if you're good enough at something, someone's going to hire you to do it. So if you keep that in mind in art as well, if you depend on which range you want to go into art, there are those people who are like savants at art and they can do anything, and that all just takes time. But when you are still beginning out, it's like you have a specific style, and if you practice that style a lot, people are going to begin noticing because that's going to be your style. We don't all draw the same. We don't. It's just factual. And I think that if you draw enough of your style and get everything worked out, and it begins looking really, really fantastic, and It's got that uniqueness to it. That's what people look for, because everybody wants to draw like somebody, and especially if you're going into the comic book industry, it's difficult to break into the comic book industry because of the speed at which these people draw. And that's not the first thing. They draw extremely fast, so they can produce a lot of content and a lot of product. And the second thing is they're extremely stylized. So if you want to go into drawing comics, my best advice is just really define your style within comics, because you got to stand out from the rest of the crowd. You can't draw like Jim Lee, and they've already got a Jim Lee, and they're not going to really notice you too much then, because you're not standing out. You're already drawing like someone they have or that exists. So the better advice is to kind of like get your own style and really work on the amount of speed that you're doing there. But the whole thing that I'm talking about is really just getting in mind what your actual goal is. Because you know what, I've sat for a very long time in my life where I haven't had a clue on what I'm doing with my life and where it's going, and that's very apparent because of my current success. And that's because I didn't stick too much. I tried everything, because art is a very difficult industry to break into. It really is, and I'm still breaking into it. But without sticking to something, really sticking to it and sticking at it, you kind of divert your attention into everything else, and you begin to lose your way a little bit. So if you have a kind of an idea of where you're going, then that's basically all you need. Because and also just to know what you're going to do, just stick to it. Because that's why I say keep at it in my slogan. Keep at it, because if you don't keep at it, it's going to be difficult for you to eventually break into everything you need to break into. Because I've tried everything out there. I've tried surveys. Look, I'm not in a country that is great for surveys, and I'm also not in the great position for so I'm airing it out, and I'm honest with you guys. I'm telling you how it is, and that's why I've got my Indigogo campaign right now to help me get the equipment that I need. And but if I had stuck to my art for a long time, I grew up in a family where my art wasn't really appreciated. Not kind of want to insult my family now, but my art wasn't very noticed, and it was never really. It was more of a personal thing. So that's why it's taken me so long to kind of decide, okay, I'm going into art. Because I was drawing a lot, and I drew in school and stuff, and even in one occasion when I drew in school, the teachers ended up tearing my drawings up because they were like, it's satanistic. And I was like, okay, it's not. It's based on a game. It was actually Warcraft back then, and Dungeon Keeper. Now I can see and understand where they were coming from, but I also just was really pissed off, because that was hours of work that they just destroyed in a moment. So you watch your work getting destroyed in an instant, and you're like, wow, okay. And then you see what happened then was my parents told me that you're not really allowed to draw that at school now. That was a bit of a shock to me, because I was like, okay, but I took the time. This is what I did. This is what I do. I've been doing it for so long that I think you guys would notice that I'm an artist and put me in some kind of art school or something. But that was never the case with me. So that's why I've never really stuck to my art as a business or as a profession, because I can draw and I can draw really well. If I really sit down and concentrate, I can draw extremely well. Like, I love this drawing that I'm, this isn't even in the color stage yet, and it's going extremely well for me. I really I'm liking what I'm doing here. I'm having fun with it, and it's really just enjoyable for me. And I was lucky enough to get blessed with. I was lucky enough to get blessed with my. I wonder if the. I have to keep an eye on the feed. All right, I was actually lucky enough to get blessed doing my art because I found my soulmate, and she allows me to really pursue my dream. And I'm very grateful for that, because it is something that I wasn't accustomed to in my life, is having someone who is who sees in my art what a lot of people do. It took a long time for me to see it in my art as well, because I didn't really have confidence. And I think that's a problem of many artists as well, is you don't really have the confidence in your own work to really say, I'm as good as this guy, I'm as good as that guy. And that's not really what art is about, and that's something you got to work through on your own. But all I can say is, if you push through those barriers, then you begin realizing, I'm not that guy, I'm me. And my art is my own, and that's how you begin developing it within it. But all this came down to me not really seeing my art as a profession, as something that I would further pursue in my life. I always wanted to, but I just didn't have an idea or a clue on how to do that, because I wasn't really receiving the support that I needed in those times. Now, yeah, it sounds like I'm blaming my family for everything that's going, but it's not the case, because there's a lot of the years in between where I was just jumping from everything that I could do. I was an insurance salesperson. I wasn't a bad insurance salesperson. I just didn't like what I was selling. I don't like selling products to people that I wouldn't buy myself, and I ended up with these products that I didn't want to sell. And I took a good look at the products, and I thought to myself, wow, these things are really damaging the clients. So I walked out of the doors there, and then I went into whatever I went into after that. Waitering, it was a bunch of things that I did after that, and then it came to the point where it's difficult to find work at my age, and especially here in South Africa, where there's a lot of people. So I decided, okay, well, let me try and pursue I wonder if I want to do that here. It's not going to work out. Sorry, I'm busy with the line work here, and I'm considering what's coming forward. And now I have to consider that cape is really not that forward. So it's just mainly the hammer and his arms and then his head. And that's all I actually want to bring forward. Anyway, so I did a bunch of things on the net. I mean, I've got traces on the net everywhere. I've got a dog site. I've got like this site where you can actually go buy products from my Amazon affiliation. And it's not that I didn't want to pursue it. It just wasn't what I was passionate about. I was passionate about it at the time because we were watching like Caesar Milan, and we were enjoying all those episodes, and I got this thing. I'm going to go online and I'm going to do this, and that just didn't work out because it wasn't my passion. And my passion isn't to sell dog things to people. My passion is my art. So then it came down to there was a stage where I'm writing a book, but the book I'll finish up later. I'm not going to finish it now. There's this specific elements. There's a life lesson book. It's and there's specific elements that I really was missing in my life to be able to confidently sell it to people and say, listen, well, this. And I'm not talking about success or anything like that. I'm just talking about general well-being, and I was missing it in my life. So how could I sell that to people? So I stopped it for that time. And then I pursued different things, but the book is still there, and it will still be completed eventually when I'm confident enough, just like I was with my art, when I'm confident enough to be able to say, well, I'm going to begin streaming, I'm going to begin putting this out there for the public to see. And that's a big thing, is when you begin when you're able to, and I think that's also another way to build your confidence within art. It doesn't matter how great you are in art. I've seen some horrendous drawings out there, but you know what? Those people are still putting themselves out there. If someone's going to come and criticize it, they can work on those things. That's information that they can receive to better themselves, and that's commendable. You're not confident in your work, but you're putting it out there. And for me, it's a difficult story because that's why I say with me, art is very private. Art was extremely private affair to me. When people came to ask me, what you're drawing, and that was one of the most irritating questions anybody could ask me in my life. And I think back to then, I think to myself, what I should have said to those people, I should have told them, listen, I'm drawing, because they could stand there and criticize it, and you can build up the critique. And I think that's also what you're afraid of when you first start drawing. And I don't think you need to be afraid of it. Critique is part of being an artist. You need people to say, listen, well, this piece is not that good. This piece looks like garbage. You need to work on this and this and that. And it doesn't matter how you get the people that are the trollers that's going to really get hold of you. But that doesn't mean that you have to give up on yourself, because trollers are trollers. But that you have to look past. You have to look at the comments that's going to be useful. I always used to have a saying when I was younger. I always used to say that if someone gives you advice, take in what's important to you. If you can learn something from it, just learn something from it, and then if there's something that's not quite useful, just cast that away and keep the part that was useful in your mind. I watch a lot of different channels, and obviously that includes art channels, and just stumbled upon a really fantastic one today, actually, with the ex-Disney artist. I'm terrible at names, guys. Please forgive me. I really am terrible at names. And he does fantastic art, and he was talking about people like to say others are cheating when they're doing digital art. No, I don't view it like that. It's like I view it as a tool, and whatever tool can get the job done is better. And it's not that I'm doing those things. I'm not. I usually draw more traditionally, as you can see. My Odin drawing, maybe, I had to make a brush for it, but I made that brush for the pattern and everything, and then I put it in there, and it just made my life a lot easier to do that, because otherwise I would spend hours filling out this character's chainmail. Whatever can bring you to your works getting finished, that is not a cheat. That is a tool. All right, cheating to me is like putting in a game where you get a lot of money. The cheating is basically the fraud of life. I'm cheating you out of your money. But if you're going to give someone a product of quality that they really like, and whether it be digitally painted by your own hand or textures that you copied from a photograph, it doesn't really matter, as long as that client is getting what they are paying for. That is the main thing. If it can help you do your things faster, the age of production is to do things faster. And I'm not saying fast is better, but I've seen some amazing artists out there who really work extremely fast. And yes, they use digital brushes that do things that certain brushes like the normal brush can't, and that you wouldn't be able to do on a traditional format. But you know what? You can't hate on that. The world is moving forward, and to my mind, and this is really, really, really important to note, is that when we were cavemen and we discovered fire, hasn't it been developed since then? Is it cheating to use a lighter to light up a fire? Is it cheating using gas? It's not a cheat. It's discoveries and development. So I'm all for this. This guy worked for Disney. and he obviously had to take a lot of shortcuts, but he also did traditional. He worked on Brother Bear, and he that was the last hand-drawn movie that he did, and that was hand-drawn. Obviously, with a team, it's a little bit difficult to do it on your own, but they still did it with their hands and everything. Now, they would replace it any time with the ability to be able to do things faster. Just if you can save time, that's in the end of the day, that's saving you money. And to be foolish enough to say that, what, time isn't money, and I'm not gonna sell out. I'm not gonna be an art sellout like that, and it's extremely stupid to be able to. I don't want to insult anyone. It's not stupid, but it's ignorant. It's extremely ignorant to just ignore tools that is available for you to produce better work. Because, for instance, if I had to learn how to do those textures, and I have learned how to do them, and I can do them as well. I mean, you take a photograph, you take a section of the photograph, and you make a brush out of it. All right, it doesn't matter how big the brush is, or it doesn't matter, it's depending on the texture. But if I take that and, for instance, I do Thor's fur with that, Thor's fur would look a lot more realistic, but I'm not a realistic artist, so I'm not going for photorealism here. That's not my intention. But it would still make my work a lot faster. What people don't often see is that the artist who's drawing these things, right, is taking their time with the processes of sketching up, which you need to know the forms of. You have to keep in mind the lighting, how the lights are going to hit on that character, or depending on where the light sources are. You have to keep in mind, what type of character it is. So they still build that character up from the ground up. It's just they're using different tools. I mean, it's not a magic pencil that you put on the paper. I mean, I dare anybody who's saying these things to go on and draw like these people and not continue doing it because of the sheer amount of time. Maybe they're struggling to learn it. I'm not trying to insult people with this, but I'm trying to bring into light what I believe is the truth. Yeah, I was talking about dreams, I was talking about aspirations, and then I came on this because of this Disney artist, and he was busy doing a lecture, and the one person's like, "Isn't that cheating?" It's like, it's not cheating, dude. It's not. Whatever tools you use to achieve your goals, and it's really, I believe that it's not. So, at the end of the day, it's just another tool. I mean, you're not going to try and open a coconut with your hands, are you? You're not going to, if you're a digital artist, you're not going to sit there with your pencil and draw on the screen. No. It's the tools we use that help us, that aid us. That's what makes us human. That's what makes us that's, I think, also another thing for artists, it gives us our imagination. You're using your brain as a tool. Is that cheating? Is that cheating? Your brain is busy processing all of this. Is that cheating? No, it's not cheating. But anyway, so to return to the original topic of what I was talking about. Come now. I have to touch my screen every now and then. That's why my taskbar opens at the bottom. Alright, I think the line work definitely is bringing his upper body forward, and that's what I wanted. Okay, so that's that, and I hope you guys like the drawing. This is kind of what I'm doing, and so like, my whole dream is to get this whole company started with a lot of artists, and people can just walk in, and maybe it's a franchise. It can be all over the world, and I think this just develops in the mind. You got to keep that long-term goal in your mind, And for my country, I don't know. There's a lot of artists in South Africa, a lot of brilliant artists in South Africa. I just have a very negative view of how South Africa perceives it, because I was raised in a Afrikaans family, but I'm English, so being raised in an Afrikaans family, a lot of Afrikaans people are very traditional in the way of thinking that, you need to work hard for your money, you need to go out there and do what you do, you need to get your hands greasy and dirty, and that's how a lot of the older generation perceives things, and that's how a lot of my family still perceive things. And it's not that I'm not working hard. I'm obviously doing so. I'm working harder than most of them are working on what I'm doing, because I will be drawing until about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning sometimes. And for the most part, I spend about roughly 15 hours in a day on my art. And that's a lot of my life that I'm spending on that. And that's all of it is work. Then that's kind of how my family saw it. Art is just you drawing pretty pictures, and I think a lot of artists, or a lot of beginning artists, have a misperception of how art comes about in your drawings. You can't just like, oh, okay, I like this anime, and then I'm going to sit down and I'm going to draw that anime. It doesn't work like that. You can, for instance, copy it with your eye. Yeah, I've done that when I was a kid. You can do that, but unfortunately, you're not going to learn the construction basis and how to work those things. And I'm going to begin with not a live stream. I'm going to do a recording for you guys on the first basics. I'm going to start from the very, very, very beginning of the basic forms, how to perceive lighting, all of those things you'd find in a normal book, but just in a different, in my perspective. And So we sit down and we work extremely hard. We are working a lot harder sometimes than a lot of people out there. A lot of artists work their entire lives away, because there's a lot of different aspects that we don't really perceive. Artists aren't, I think artists have a very bad reputation because we aren't really known to be social. Now the world is changing that because of YouTube, which is brilliant, I think. So a lot of artists like introvert. I have a very introverted personality, so I'll sit in quiet and I'll do my own thing for a long time. I don't really like being around too many people at a time. But as the social part of me is coming out, obviously that's going to change, and I'm changing that within myself because I need to change that as an artist. And that's another thing is, if you want to pursue a career in art, you need to be social. So be social out there. If you're still a young artist and you go into DeviantArt and go to your family and friends, go to people that you don't even know. Go sit in a park and draw, and attract people to you. That art is a natural attraction for anybody, because nobody can say that if they see a guy on a park bench busy drawing something on a canvas or on his sketchbook or anything like that, that they're not curious for what that person is doing, because that's kind of how our minds work. We want to know what's going on. And that's really just a social instigator. Art is such a brilliant social tool as well, because it helps bring people together. Sorry, my throat is like a bit tight here. It's been raining for a couple of days here. Quite nice. But yeah, anyway, and that social interactions that you do then, trust me, this is really the truth. And it's not how I did it when I was growing up. It was kind of like, let me just take, oh wait, I want that layer, I erased him. So, take that layer away. Let me know what you guys think of this drawing. That'll be like really cool. Okay, so this is my Thor, and this is pre-color. So I did Odin the last time, and now I'm doing Thor. I think it turned out pretty damn cool, and what I'm going to do is, there's a lot of elements that I still need to add in, but that's only coming in the color phase, so that's why I left it out. But I think I think that looks pretty cool for a line piece right now. And this is also going to be one of my shirts available. Shameless binge there for myself. And please check out my Indiegogo campaign. You know what, I can use anybody's help. You know, just please spread the word out there. I really do need the tools that I'm talking about on there to forward my business, and it would really be very kind of you guys to be able to help me get word out there of that campaign, whether it be word or you know you guys are donating something. That would be great. And also just note that I'm going to be doing, I did put benefits in to it, like perks. They call them perks, and what the perks are is normally like an item that you receive that is shipped to you and things like that, and that's also what I'm going to do. But you know what, I might actually change the perk. I might actually do a initial image for it, but it'll mean that it can be more immediate by that person. So basically what I'm doing there is I stated, you know, I'm going to do a specific type of image for a person, and the image is going to be very unique for that person. It's not an image that I have on my Threadless account, and it's not an image that I'm going to put on my Threadless account for whatever product I created on. So you leave me a comment and say whether it's better for the high-res image or the actual item, because you know I'm more than willing to do either one. But I want you guys just to understand that those things are going to be unique for the person who receives them. Nobody else is going to have it. It's going to take me some time to do all of them, okay? So I will put a deadline in for everybody. That's for damn sure. I'll put in a deadline, and I'll say, well, this is going to take me this long. I've still got another 10 people that I'm doing this for, but yours is in the queue. So, but it's still gonna, but you're gonna get it. So it doesn't matter if it takes me 2 to 3 months to get you your product. You're gonna get it. I'm just the one working on it, and I want to make everyone unique. And I think it's much more worth the value of what the actual product is like being shipped out. You know, the price. So the value of having a specific and unique piece that you alone have is outstanding. You know, I think that's an amazing thing. Anyway, so yeah, that's my Indiegogo campaign. It's called Help the Pidgey, you know, achieve his dream. So I changed the name from Equipment to Dream because I thought, you know, let me make it a little bit more appealing to people, because you know, it's just going to be more appealing with a little cute character. And I did a new thumbnail for that as well. Yeah, I'm actually doing quite nicely on DeviantArt now. Not like business wise, but there are people that like my stuff, and I am very happy and chuffed about that, because you know what, I was always afraid to put myself out there. Happens when you're an introvert. So getting into the social game of things, and that's my main plan right now, is just to get into the social game of everything and get my work known out there. And that's why I'm doing this partly as well in the YouTube thing. And I want to add value to people's lives as well, and that I think is extremely important, is to be able to say, well, you know what, I at least try and add value to the people who are watching me. And I'm not just going to be talking about art. I'm definitely going to be talking about art aspects. And you know what, I have learned a couple of things, and I have, even though I am not currently